Andrew went on Piers Morgan to debate Elon Musk and free speech.
Viewed billions of. Well, joining me now is Andrew Tate, whose videos have been viewed billions of times online, but he's been banned from pretty much every mainstream social media platform, including Twitter. Andrew Tate, welcome back to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Your take on this, I think, is quite interesting because you've been a victim of being, if victim's the right word, but you've been removed from social media platforms for your opinions. Elon Musk has
Gang.
dedicated.
Canceled, gang. Also, hit the up rumble right now. I don't know why the word is rumble for the like button. It is what it is. Sorry, Chris. Click the up rumble right now. We almost got 4,000 people watching. Let's get this shit on the front page.
He says, to restoring free speech. Do you think that's going to include you, for example?
I don't think it matters if it includes me or not. I think what's important is that free speech is the #1 weapon against absolute tyranny. And although you cannot have complete free speech because then conversations completely break down into asinine insult fests, I do like the idea of the changing of the guard when it comes to control over information.
Is it possible, Andrew Tate, to actually police something like Twitter, to be a platform for genuine free speech? Or is it so toxic and
Yo, why you look so mad, Andrew?
tribal now that whatever happens...
You look like you want to punch the camera.
You know, before we had all the people on the right screaming away that they were being no platformed and so on. Now you've got all the people on the left screaming that they're being diminished in some way. It's very tribal, very toxic. Can Musk cut through that? And if so, how?
I think it was an L. What do you think about the chat? I think it was an L that Ethan Decline got banned. I don't wish banning on anybody. I know he clapped when I got banned on YouTube. Fucking, nope, it's fine. Nope, do not get mad about that. It's fine. It's fine. He clapped when I got banned. And so the natural response to be happy when he got banned on Twitter, but I think it's a bad move. I'm thinking long term. Because if he starts banning leftists like he's doing right now, then they're going to start taking away more advertisers. They're going to stop thinking it's a free speech platform. You got to stay consistent. If they're going to unleash the me, the Nick, the Trump, the Milo, Andrew, if we're going to unleash these people onto Twitter, then you need to keep the demonic atheist, antidepressant leftists like Ethan Decline, or else it's going to change the demographics. Or maybe Twitter's too big to fail. I personally think it's an L. I'm for free speech. I think that was a bad move. Bring Ethan Decline back to Twitter. I said it.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely difficult. There's always going to be one group of people who are extremely unhappy, but I think that anybody who's perspicacious enough to understand the truth of what's been going on in the world recently will know that the left and their narratives have certainly been protected for a very long time. And the universe has swings and balances, and God often restores balance to the universe, and perhaps it might swing the other way for a while. I truthfully am a person who believes that all points of view are extremely important, because as soon as you block points of view, you have absolute tyranny.
And in a way, it's sort of self-defeating, isn't it? Because you carried on getting huge attention. It was interesting to me that when you came on the show, for example, we've had, I think, nearly 6 million people have viewed the whole interview that we did, which is a huge number of people, certainly far higher than watched it on conventional television. So you have a whole world out there online, which...
You know what happened with Piers? He saw the reaction to the first debate, which he took a big L on the whole time. He was just interrupting him. He was trying to get him to apologize, trying to get him to say that he regretted it. And he saw the response. He's like, oh, views, and got him on again.
Operates away from social media platforms.
But this is a totally different approach than the first.
Yeah, I've been very, very successful in spite of them, but not many people can do that. I'm in a pretty unique position. But I think that everybody needs a voice to a degree, and social media platforms are now the most important platforms on the planet. They control information, and they influence real-world decisions, and they influence people's perception of reality. The last few years of COVID have been a perfect example of what happens when you censor one side of the argument and you only allow one point of view to be purported by the matrix in and of itself, and that's how you end up in tyrannical situations. I think you were just discussing that, Piers.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfectly valid point.
The vaccine was a big pharma scam.
You know, people have quite rightly, held me to task over some of the positions I took during the COVID pandemic, notably when the scientists said as a definitive fact that you couldn't transmit the virus if you had the vaccine. It turned out that wasn't true. And I based my...
Yo, you remember when the liberals put on 2 masks to show that they were double woke? You remember 6 feet social distancing and then sitting next to each other on the plane as soon as you got out of the line?
My observations on that supposed fact and said, right, well, in that case, if you refuse to be vaccinated, you shouldn't get the same rights as people who've been vaccinated. If it's true that if you're unjabbed, you can pass it on. It turned out, actually, there's not much difference whether you've been vaccinated or not. And at that point, I changed my mind. But I felt that there were a lot of people who were being deplatformed.
And you say natty or not? Yes.
From Twitter at the time for questioning the validity of...
I'd be honest, if I saw him jabbing some shit, I would tell you.
Scientific statements, and they would then be a complete U-turn. So I do think it was a very interesting period, actually, for testing what free speech means.
It was actually worse than that. You're right, Piers, but it was actually worse than interesting, because what happens is when you censor an entire side of the argument and only allowed one side of the argument to have a voice, you are changing reality in real time. You are shaping the world. The only reason that scam continued as long as it did, and the only reason people didn't get to see their own parents get buried, and the only reason people sat and missed cancer appointments because they were scared of the common cold was because they were censoring anybody who said anything contrary to the purported version of events that the mainstream media decided they want the entire world to swallow. It's beyond simply interesting, and it's beyond simply funny or coincidental.
Yeah, I mean, I will challenge you on one thing. It's not the common cold, right? COVID-19 has killed 6.6 million people. It is one of the most...
And did it? Did it? 6 million? Sounds familiar.
Deadly viruses, certainly of our lifetime. So it wasn't the common cold, but I do think it is completely justified.
Well, that was a joke, by the way. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. It was probably they're right. God bless you, bro. Thank you, Josiah. God bless you. I'm a Christian, and I also believe the Jewish calendar to be somewhat accurate, prophetic. You should definitely look into it. Appreciate you, bro. Keep seeking God. Jesus is King. Put it in my Discord. I'll react to it. Another 5 from Only Chat. He gave a Rumble link. Civil War red pill. Nick didn't do good on the Civil War question. Okay. Put it in my Discord.
For people to say we should be more cautious, I think, about accepting during fast-moving pandemics the word of scientists as being sacrosanct, because on a number of things, from the use of masks to the efficacy of vaccines in preventing transmission, they did massive U-turns.
I've read enough history books to know that the people who do the censoring are never the good guys. And they've been censoring a lot of arguments for a very long time in the name of good. They are weaponizing virtue, and it's always in the name of tyranny. Anybody who is out here trying to silence an entire side of an argument on any subject, whether it's COVID-19, immigration, anything else, they are the evil people who are out for absolute mind control of the populace, and they should be feared.
I certainly agree. I certainly agree that I think the healthiest thing for any democracy is for all views to be aired and debated. We seem to have lost the ability.
That's why Ethan declined. Free Ethan, free L3L3. Bring him back. I want to hear his great takes and his droning antidepressant voice.
To debate. You know, when I interviewed you, yeah, we had a few fractious moments, but actually, I thought it was a pretty spirited debate between people who perhaps...
No, you just interrupted him for 45 minutes straight, Piers. That was the worst interview I've ever seen.
Had, you know, preconceived views of each other. And I've got no problem interviewing you now about these, because I think...
Andrew Tate looks like he's doing a face-off at a UFC fight.
You have an interesting take on this stuff.
And that's the key to life. When you reach that level of adolescence in your mindset where you can't handle any point of view that is contrary to your own, then you're truly a broken person. And that's what the internet is purporting.
Brokey.
It's very interesting you said about Twitter being tribal. There's a large contingent of people on Twitter who simply cannot handle reading an opinion which differs from their own. And that is a degree of immaturity that we do not need adults to be functioning with in the modern world.
That's why you see all these sore boys make videos about me, make documentaries about me, and then I say, hey, let's go talk in a Discord call. No, but you're gonna attack me. I'm gonna go make a documentary and investigate your whole life instead.
No, I agree. If you were Elon Musk, this idea of charging $8 now a month, whatever it is, to access the blue tick premium Twitter account, would you do that? Would you pay the extra?
I think that social media companies for a very long time have lived in an absolute fantasy where they've printed money from thin air by charging people for pixels, and they grew into these large conglomerates with too many staff sitting around doing nothing, having coffee breaks. And Elon Musk is a businessman. He's walked into the office and he's firing a bunch of people who are messing around doing nothing. And he wants his business to make money, as it absolutely should. And how he decides that happens is his prerogative. I don't see why we should sit and accept that a website needs 200,000 people sitting around discussing in long meetings, sitting on beanbags about policy of human rights of some garbage.
Elon, unban me. I'm paying the $8. I don't think that's that big of a deal. The liberals are crying about that chat. WRL, is that really that big of a deal paying $8 for a blue? You don't have to pay it. You don't have to. It's fine. I don't know why that's freaking everybody out.
When he's come along and said, no, I'm a businessman. We're going to charge for our service. We're going to reduce the number of staff. And we're going to be a functional, coherent company, as they should be. And it's his prerogative to do it, as he's bought the company. I think he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, because I remember the appalling censorship of the New York Post exclusive about Hunter Biden, the son of the president, about his laptop. This is 3 weeks before the election that Joe Biden won. He was heading, to a possible victory, but it was tight. And that story, they reckon, could have tipped
Yo, why you look so mad at me, man?
it either way.
You look like you're going to send people into war.
But it was completely suppressed and censored, starting with Twitter, then Facebook, then others. Twitter literally locked out the New York Post account for 2 weeks for breaking a completely true story. I thought that was shameful.
It's worse than shameful. It's worse than shameful. When you control information, you control the real world. They affect the real world in real time. They are genuinely affecting the reality people live in. They are not just a company. They're not just a social media platform. It affects absolutely every single person on the planet when it changes who is elected. I don't want to comment specifically on Hunter Biden or the laptop. I would never kill myself. But I don't think it's fair that they would hide certain key information that close to an election. And the fact that they've done that was done specifically to affect the world that we all live in.
Zuckerberg admitted this on the Joe Rogan podcast. He said the FBI told him to say that it was Russian disinformation.
And we all have to suffer the consequences.
But Hunter Biden was jerking off and fucking black hookers and snorting cocaine and getting away with it. And Biden just like, well, it's fine.
Those things. So to sit
Hunter Biden was sniffing coke like Joe Biden sniffs kids.
And say that these companies can just do whatever they want and they're private, etc. No, free speech is beyond important for democracy. It's important for the reality that we exist under.
Andrew Tate, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, friend.
Much better, Piers. Much better than that first garbage. Yeah, they're saying. I hope the pendulum is swinging in the right direction, chat. What do you think about... I think Elon acquiring Twitter is a good move in the right direction, but it's a little bit discouraging, the canceled life. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not completely. I'm not alpha male. I'm really not. I still have some adolescent tendencies. You guys call me out on it a lot. I freak out. I yell. I could be more stoic, alpha. Meh. Getting banned has affected me, and it's still like in the middle of the day, I'll be like, "Fuck, bro, fuck." But I think it's going to go in the right direction. It's going to be 3 months of still transitioning weird, but there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. I'm suing Google.
That's it.
Is this your job?